Hello students, my name is Mr. Aimer Mustapha and I will be helping you with your teaching lessons. Many of you do not know me because I left the educational system. By the educational system I mean the secondary education in 2008 when I was at Ibn Sahnoun al-Rashidi school as an English teacher. So I left for the United States where I became a graduate of the two universities, the University of Connecticut and the University of North Carolina in the United States. So I have acquired a lot of experience. So before Ibn Sahnoun, before 2008, I taught at Abd al-Mumin School, then Al-Abidin Ain al-Hajar, then Tanjawi High School. So I'm going to help you with these 12 hours with lessons to consolidate and reinforce what you have learned in the first term and the second term. And I have decided to focus on the theme of education in the word because education for me has always been my life and joy, and it's important theme because it involves ancient civilizations and ethics in business, your two other themes. So mainly my focus of these 12 hours is going to be on education in the word. So it's going to be just like the way you are going to be examined in the baccalaureate exam. So first, my work is going to be like reading comprehension. That's the first section, and then we're going to talk about grammar as the second section, and the third section we're going to talk about writing, which means I'm going to help you prepare your writing, develop your writing. So as you know, your baccalaureate exam is divided into 3 sections. So this is how I designed my lessons, my 12 hours lessons. So reading, grammar, and then writing. So I can't wait to start my lessons, and I look forward to meeting you and receive your observation. So thank you so much and see you soon. Hello students. Today we are going to talk about education in the word because education is extremely important. Education is extremely important for the ancient civilizations and for ethics in business, because without education we cannot learn about ethics in business. So I decided to talk about education in the word because, as I said, it is extremely important for you and for the whole nation. So first we're going to learn some vocabulary. So I want you to remember the following words: course, lecture, university, professor, tuition, college, degree, and we can add more vocabulary that are related to university and education in general. So the first activity that we are going to do is listening to 5 people talking about education and telling their opinion. So because in this lesson, we are going to learn how to agree and how to disagree. So first, we are going to listen to 5 people talking about education. Now, these speakers 1-5, have some opinions that later we're going to agree or disagree with them. So one of them is saying a degree was essential for his or her job. Then the speaker thinks people with degrees should be paid more. The speaker thinks university is a waste of time. One of the speakers thinks it's better to get a job first and then go to university. Another speaker really enjoyed his or her university course. And then the last speaker, the speaker thinks you should choose your university course carefully because it's important for your choice of career later after you graduate from the university. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F opinions, and we've got only 5 speakers. This means that there is one idea or one thought or one opinion that we do not need. Let's have a lesson.
Lesson 3C, exercises 1 and 2. 1.
I left school at 16 and started working on a market stall. Now I've just opened my first shop. Some of my friends who went on to university can't find work or are in boring, low-paid jobs. They had a good time at college for a few years, but I really don't know why they bothered to stay in education. Working for yourself is the best education there is.
Okay.
Much more useful than a degree.
Much more useful than a degree. So working for yourself is much more useful than a degree. So which idea do you think matches best what the speaker has just said? Is it the speaker's degree was essential for their job? Is it the speaker thinks people with degrees should be paid more? Or is it the speaker thinks university is a waste of time? Or the speaker thinks it's better to get a job first and go to university later? Or the speaker really enjoyed the university course? Or the speaker thinks you should choose your university course carefully? Because he said he left school when he was 16 and he started working for himself. And he said, and he thinks that the university is a waste of time. So speaker 1 should go with C. He thinks that university is a waste of time. Now, speaker 2.
2.
I went straight into work after leaving school at the age of 18. I got a job in local government, but I think it was a mistake as there weren't any chances for promotion. I think graduates get more interesting jobs, so I decided to go to university to further my career. Studying for a degree was one of the best experiences of my life. I loved my subject, and now I'm looking for a new job, better paid and more interesting than my last one.
Okay. She said she has made a mistake of not going to university. Now, she first started working at the local government, but later she enrolled at the university and enjoyed herself a lot. So which idea do you think should match what she has just said? That's E. The speaker really enjoyed her university course. Now, speaker 3.
3.
I always wanted to be a pharmacist, so I did a degree in pharmacy, followed by 2 years training. I must say the course was really hard work, and I didn't enjoy it much at the time. But I don't regret it, because without it I couldn't have got the job I have now. The other thing is that a university education teaches you a lot about yourself. I think I'm a more confident person because I did a degree.
Okay, so this speaker is saying that without the education he got, he cannot have the job he has right now. So this means that A. So his degree was essential for his job. And he's just said that he's a pharmacist. He said it was hard work because the course of a pharmacy at the university is really hard work. Now, next.
4.
I finished my philosophy degree a few months ago, but I haven't been able to find a job. The course was really hard work, but reasonably interesting.
However, I don't think it was a good idea to choose philosophy, as many employers think it's irrelevant. If I could go to university again, I'd study something more useful, like business studies. I think it's really important to think how the particular course you plan to do is going to help you get a job.
Now, this lady is saying that it is extremely important to choose the course you are going to choose when you enroll at the university, because it's going to influence your choice after you graduate as far as your job and your career is concerned. So, where's the course choice? That's F. The speaker, she thinks we should choose our university course carefully. She has done a mistake. Now, her mistake was she studied philosophy at university. And studying philosophy at university or graduating with a degree in philosophy at university didn't help her choose a career, a good career, or a job with a good income. So, we've got 5. Now, which one is not needed? Which one is not needed? So we said the speaker's degree was essential for their job. This is the pharmacist. The speaker thinks people with degrees should be paid more. This one is not needed. The speaker thinks people with degrees should be paid more. Now, how do we call people with degrees? We call them graduates. Graduates. N stands for noun. Graduate. There's also the verb to graduate. That's the verb. So, there's a difference in the pronunciation. So you see the spelling is the same. Graduate, noun. Graduate is the person who completes a university course and gets a degree. Now, to graduate is the verb. Graduating, finishing, completing a course at the university. Excellent. Now, we've heard the 5 speakers. Now, the same opinions, the opinions that we just listened to, with gaps. We are going to listen again to the opinions and then try to fill in these gaps with these words. And remember, these words are the words that we started with. My list on the board. So first we've got course, degree, education, graduates, university. So, speaker 1, the one who left school when he was 16 and said that he has been working for himself. He said working for yourself is the best education there is. He thinks that it's much more useful than a degree, because he left high school when he was 16 and started working for himself. So he thinks that going to university, studying at university is a waste of time. So we might agree with him and we might disagree with him. I personally disagree with him because for me university and education is extremely important. Now, speaker 2, the girl, she said, I think, get more interesting jobs. So, which one gets a more interesting job? The one who left school or the one who graduates from university? So, that would be, I think, graduates get more interesting job. That is to say, graduates from universities, graduates who completed courses at the university get more interesting jobs. And more interesting jobs means high incomes, good incomes and salaries. Now, 3, a university gap teaches you a lot about yourself, and that's right, because the university helps you grow and build up your confidence. So, a university, is it course? Is it degree? Is it education? Is it graduate or university? So that would be a university education. Teaches you a lot about yourself. A university education teaches you a lot about yourself. Now, 4, it's really important to think how the particular you plan to do is going to help you get a job. So, the choice for majors at the university, we have to think carefully about what course we are doing at the university. We have to think carefully because we have to take into consideration the job market. So, it's really important to think how the particular course you plan to do is going to help you get a job. Particular course. Now, the girl we have listened to, she said she made a mistake the day she decided to do philosophy because she got in trouble after graduating from university with her degree in philosophy. She couldn't find an interesting job. Now, 5, you'll get more from if you spend some time working first. You'll get more from if you spend some time working first. That's another opinion. Now, some people, they leave school, they go to work for some years, and then they enroll at university. Okay, so you'll get more from university if you spend some time working first. Working first. Now, let's listen again.
Lesson 3C, exercises 1 and 2. 1.
I left school at 16 and started working on a market stall. Now I've just opened my first shop. Some of my friends who went on to university can't find work or are in boring, low-paid jobs. They had a good time at college for a few years, but I really don't know why they bothered to stay in education. Working for yourself is the best education there is. Much more useful than a degree.
Next.
2.
I went straight into work after leaving school at the age of 18. I got a job in local government, but I think it was a mistake as there weren't any chances for promotion. I think graduates get more interesting jobs, so I decided to go to university to further my career. Studying for a degree was one of the best experiences of my life. I loved my subject, and now I'm looking for a new job, better paid and more interesting than my last one.
3.
I always wanted to be a pharmacist, so I did a degree in pharmacy, followed by 2 years training. I must say the course was really hard work, and I didn't enjoy it much at the time. But I don't regret it because without it I couldn't have got the job I have now. The other thing is that a university education teaches you a lot about yourself. I think I'm a more confident person because I did a degree.
4.
I finished my philosophy degree a few months ago, but I haven't been able to find a job. The course was really hard work, but reasonably interesting. However, I don't think it was a good idea to choose philosophy, as many employers think it's irrelevant. If I could go to university again, I'd study something more useful, like business studies. I think it's really important to think how the particular course you plan to do is going to help you get a job.
5.
I got quite a shock when I got my first job after graduating from university. My boss had been in the same class as me at school. She went straight into work at 18, and now she's earning more than me. Actually, she wants to go to university now, and I think that's probably a much better way to do it. I think you'll get more from university if you spend some time working first.
Excellent. Wonderful. So we've talked about opinions. So with these opinions, we might agree and we might disagree. So I'm going to ask this question. The opinions in the exercise we have just done. Can you think of any other advantages and disadvantages of going to university? We're going to learn the phrases that they are going to help us express our opinion, our positions. Now, expressing an opinion. I agree that work is very important, but university education is more important. I think that, I agree that, I don't agree that, or you can start expressing your opinion with to my mind, or in my view, or in my point of view, or of course, as in my opinion, So this is expressing an opinion. Now, agreeing and disagreeing. Agreeing to be for, disagreeing to be against certain ideas. Yes, I agree. That's right. I think so too. I don't agree. On the other hand, that may be true, but. So on the other hand, or that may be true, but, when we sometimes half agree, half. So, you can express your opinion this way, or you can agree or disagree this way in English. So, to my mind, university teaches you a lot about life, as well as about your subject. So, it's important to go to university. I agree. I totally agree. Now, in my case, I personally think that my university, the university I went to, taught me a lot about myself, as well as about my subject, my course. So it's important to go to university. Now, yes, but on the other hand, on the other side, university costs a lot of money. University costs a lot of money. And this idea leads us to what are we going to explore or read later, because here in our country, most or all our universities are state universities subsidized or funded by the government, which is not the case for England. For instance, in the United Kingdom, some universities are state universities and other universities are private universities. So private universities, so the costs are very high and students have to pay their tuition. Students have to pay their tuition. Okay. Now we're going to talk about education or higher education in the United Kingdom. So we've got a fact file. University in the UK. And you know the UK stands for United Kingdom. Fact file. So, okay, so here's our fact file about universities in the UK. So, you are going to notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 gaps. So, I'm not going to talk about the gaps now, we're going to talk about them later. So, in the UK, here's our fact file. In the UK, approximately 40% of school leavers go, gap, to study at university compared with 8% in gap early 1980s. 15% of all university students are gap outside the UK. The most popular subjects with foreign students are business studies and engineering. Most undergraduate courses take 3 years of full-time study, gap complete. University education is subsidized, gap the government. British and EU, European Union, students pay towards their tuition fees and have to pay their own living expenses. They can usually take out a government loan for this gap. They pay back when they reach a certain level of income. Vocational courses are becoming more popular. 90% of people, gap, take degrees in the UK, go on to get gap, job or do further study. People with degrees are likely to earn gap, average £100,000 more during their working lives than non-graduates. Okay, now, we're going to listen to the text and try to find out the missing words. The missing words. So what are the missing words? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, let's listen.
Lesson 3C, Exercise 4.
University in the UK. Fact file. In the UK, approximately 40% of school leavers go on to study at university, compared with 8% in the early 1980s.
Excellent. So, the first gap. In the UK, approximately 40% of school leavers, high school graduates, high school, students completing high school, go. So what do you think is missing here? The preposition on. Go on to study at university compared with 8% in Article V with the early 1980s. So again, in the United Kingdom, approximately 40% of school leavers go on. So it's a phrasal verb composed of verb to go and the preposition on. So together, go on means continue. So leavers go on to study at university, compared with 8% in the early 1980s. Excellent. Now, let's move on.
15% of all university students are from outside the UK. The most popular subjects with foreign students are business studies and engineering.
Excellent.
Most undergraduate courses.
Excellent. So, 15% of all university students in the UK are from outside the United Kingdom. They are also called international students. They are not British. So, the most popular subject with foreign students are business studies and engineering. Now, most undergraduate courses
take 3 years of full-time study to complete. University education is subsidized by the government. British and EU students pay towards their tuition fees and have to pay their own living expenses. They can usually take out a government loan for this, which they pay back when they reach a certain level of income.
Excellent. Now, most undergraduates. So, graduate, undergraduate. So, undergraduate are always the first 3 years of studying at the university. So, most undergraduate courses take 3 years of full-time study, we've got a verb, study, to complete. University education is subsidized. Subsidized. So here we've got a passive construction. Passive form construction is subsidized. The auxiliary to be in the present simple with the past participle of the verb to subsidize. And to subsidize means to fund, to give money, is subsidized. So this is a good hint, passive voice. So what do we need in the passive form? We need the preposition by. University education is subsidized by. British and European Union students pay towards their tuition fees. Tuition fees, that's the money they need to pay university in return for their studies, and have to pay, obligation, have to pay their own living expenses. So living expenses, by living expenses we mean their housing and their food. So they can usually take out another phrasal verb, take out another combination of a verb with an adverb, So we talked when I mentioned phrasal verbs. So phrasal verbs are a combination of a verb or preposition or a verb and then adverb, out. So they can take out a government loan. A government loan. So what is a loan? A loan is a money that we borrow. So money that we borrow from a bank. For this, which the money or the loan which they pay back when they reach a certain level of income. This means that they have to pay their tuition, they have to pay the university money, and then after they graduate and find a job and start work, they can pay back their loan. Okay, vocational courses are becoming more popular. Vocational courses. Now, by vocational courses, we mean technical courses, mostly engineering. These courses are becoming more popular, like computing, like engineering, like chemistry, like everything that deals with the technical or technology. 90% of people, relative pronoun, who take relative pronoun, people, who, because the relative pronoun who replaces people, replaces persons. Take degrees in the UK, go on to get the article A, to get a job or do higher or further study. People with degrees, and people with degrees are those we call graduates, are likely to earn on average. So here we need the preposition on average, £100,000. So when we say on average £100,000, on average it can be less than 100,000 or it can be more during their working lives than non-graduates. Non-graduates, those who dropped out of school and didn't go to university. So you see, when we talk income, it's very, very, very important. It's better to go to university and study at the university. Okay. Now, let's try to answer these questions about the text. Question 1. How has the number of students entering university changed since the early 1980s in the United Kingdom? How has the number changed? That should be in paragraph 1. Here we've got 8% of high schoolers went to universities in the 1980s, but today, in the UK, because we've got a verb in the present simple, today, 40%. So the number of high schoolers entering universities in the United Kingdom increased and changed in the 1980s with 8% to 40% these days? That's question 1. Question 2. What proportion of university students are from abroad? And by abroad, we mean outside the country, outside the United Kingdom. Proportion, number or quantity. So, what percentage do international students represent in the United Kingdom education system? Now, here's the answer. 15% of all university students are from outside the UK. So, international students represent 15%. Students from outside or from abroad, from outside the United Kingdom, represent 15%. And as I said, they are called international students because they are not British citizens. Next question. What do students have to pay for at university? What do students have to? So you notice you've got to have to. It's an obligation. It's an obligation. They have to pay for at university. What do they have to pay for? So British and European Union students have to pay their tuition fees. So the money they pay in university is called tuition. Tuition. And also, they have to pay for their own living expenses. So living expenses, we mean the housing and the food. So, even though universities, British universities are subsidized by the government, but still students have to pay the tuition. Question 4. Where can they get money for their fees and living costs? Where can they get money? Because you know, some universities in United Kingdom are very, very, very expensive. So, where can UK and European Union students find the money to pay their universities or to pay their tuition? Their school tuition. So, they can usually take out a government loan. They can borrow from a bank or from a government, and then they pay it back when they start work after graduating from the university. So, our next question is, according to the text, what advantages do graduates have over people who haven't been to university? So, if you decide to go to university, what advantages will you have over those who are not going to university? So, it's mostly in the last paragraph. People graduating from universities, people with degrees from universities, are likely to earn on average £100,000 more during their working lives than non-graduates. So, it's worth it to go to university because the university helps you get a better income than if you do not. Now, you have to consider the following thoughts or the following points. Now, you can look at them and discuss them. 1, do you intend to go to college or university? Why or why not? If so, what do you plan to study and where do you plan to study? Would you consider studying abroad? If yes, where would you go and why? If not, Why not? So think about these questions, or you can take note and write a small essay, a 5 or 6 lines essay, telling your opinion or answering these questions. Thank you so much. Be right back.